important is this: why we are going through this particular phase is because if you ask a layman, he will easily define a state. But you look into the concept of state through international law, you will find, because I think before the last class, most of you have idea about the state. You have no idea about procurate state. I think most of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So
Yes, sir.
the real, basically the base we can say, or why we are going through this particular topic is to what? एक मिनट भैया, भाई रुक जाओ थोड़ा. हेलो.
Yes, sir.
वो पुरानी कॉपियां लेने आ गए हैं. एक मिनट वेट कीजिएगा, ठीक है? थोड़ा डिस्टर्बेंस होगा. हाँ. Hello, hello.
Yes, sir.
हाँ सॉरी, थोड़ा
Yes, sir.
डिस्टर्बेंस होता है इसलिए मैंने वो स्टॉप कर दिया था. So the last class we have discussed about kinds of states, and the first type which I have discussed was the procreate state, and the example which I have given in that particular the procreate state was the example of Bhutan. So in this particular, there is I have talked about one of the important treaty, that was friendship treaty between India and Bhutan of 1949. Recently in 2007 also they have recreated that treaty with a little bit of changes they have, and they have reinstituted that particular faith in India on the basis of that they are becoming procreate state. So another example of procreate state, which is now the state is basically part of India, that is Sikkim. Sikkim, before 1973, was a procreate state of India. After in 1973, it became an associate state of India, and in 1975, it became full state of India. So this is an example how sometimes the procurement state also moved to be an associate state, which we will discuss about what is an associate state. And after that particular time, there was a ruler of that Sikkim was there, so there was some disturbance, and after that they have accepted the there was an amendment in our Indian Constitution in 75, and they have added Sikkim as an state also. So this is an we can give an example of procurator state, which is quite clear about Bhutan, and uh, the benefit which the procurator state get is that even if they are importing arms and ammunition also, there is no need of any clearance from the governing state. That means procureur state can bring arm and ammunition for their safety. They can make their own decisions. So Bhutan, on that basis, we can say is a good procureur state under the command of. They have given they basically some sovereignty to India, but India will not interfere in their internal affairs, and they have also defined some external affairs where India will not. For example, they can sign treaties. They can they, that Bhutan is a state uh, uh, on the basis of international law. Also, they make international agreements also on their own. So this is an example of a procureur state. The another important example kind of state is the vassal state. So vassal state, what is vassal state? Vassal state basically the state which is governed by the suzerain state. That means suzerain state, that means a state which remains under the suzerainty, that means under the control of another state, is called vassal state. Vassal state does not have capacity to enter into relationship with other states. So now vassal state, a good example of vassal state is Tibet. Tibet is in control of China. Tibet is not, we cannot identify Tibet as a state, and the Tibet has no any external power or any right to be part of any international agreement. So in vassal state, it is a type of, we can say, a type of protectorate state, but here what happens, the sovereignty is not with the that particular vassal state. The sovereignty or the control which is under the state which is governing. For example, the example is the Tibet. Tibet is governed by, and all the major decisions of Tibet is taken by China. So this is an example of vassal state. Vassal state have no, we can say, not very much part of that particular international community, and they can't make any agreements and all the things with another state. So vassal state has limited power, and procureur state has more power as than compared to vassal state. So we can there are limitation on the there are the limitation on the this particular vassal state. War of suzerain. Up now to come to the picture where we can have to where we can have a comparative point related to procureur state and the vassal state. For example, if war started between for example, between India and some other country, so in that case, Bhutan will not automatically will become part of that war. But in case of vassal state, if war occurs between China and India, Tibet will automatically, ipso facto, or we can say, will become part of that particular war. So the difference is the first on the basis of war. If two states come into war, for example, if Procurator state, uh, then Bhutan will not be part of that particular war because it is an only Procurator state. But where the state is vassal state, when there is war occurs between the governing state and any other country, then at that time the vassal state will ipso facto and will be part of that particular war. So this is one of the difference between these two, vassal and procurator state. The another difference is the on many grounds we can conclude that there is many difference between procurator state and vassal state. While in the case of procurator state, the superior state protects the weak state in accordance with the terms of the treaty concluded between them. In case of vassal state, suzerain powers absorb foreign relation entirely. That means I have given an example of Bhutan, where they have the Bhutan government has power to make its external relations, but not in case of vassal state. Vassal state, all the vassal state surrenders all the power to the governing state. That means Tibet can't take any external decision. Tibet can't take any internal decision as well. So this is one of the examples, one of the difference between procurator state and in vassal state. The another which I have already given, that if there is a war, if war declared by the protecting state, then the protected state does not ipso facto become part of that war, but not in the case of vassal state. In vassal state, if the governing state has participated or declared war with some XYZ country, then the vassal state will automatically become part of that war. So this is one of the second difference between these two. The third difference we can conclude is that while a treaty concluded by a procurator state is not ipso facto binding on the protected state, that means if India signed any treaty with any other country or any international organization, that treaty will be not applicable to the Bhutan, but not in case of vassal states. For example, if China has signed any treaty with some XYZ or with some international organization, that treaty will be applicable on the Tibet. So this is a few differences which define the procurator state with the vassal state. So another difference is that while procurator state may become member of international organization, but not in case of vassal state. Vassal state can't have the capacity to be a part of some international organization. So that means you have no that particular state has no right. So one of the important things that was related to for the definition of right for the definition of a state which we have studied in the last few classes was that right and duty. That means a state should have right and duty to be part. That means if you are international organization, if you are international personality, what is most important thing? Anyone? If you if 1 मिनट होल्ड कीजिएगा, एक फ्रेंड का कॉल आ रहा है। Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, very problem. Uh, so that is the core difference we can define. So we can differentiate. Between and vessel state. So the vessel state has on the basis of in the international law, vessel state has no. Hello.
Yes, sir. Your voice is lagging, sir. You are not
Yes,
अरे
audible.
यार
sir.
नेट चल रहा है इलेक्ट्रिसिटी गई थी अजय और उस बीच में इंटरनेट डिस्कनेक्ट हो जा रहा है
सर बीच में आपका माइक भी ऑफ हो गया था
हाँ
हेलो
अब सही हो जाएगा लाइन आ गया हेलो हेलो हेलो
Yes, sir.
हाँ लाइन आ गया सॉरी राइट so this is quite we can say have a difference in this particular the difference between vessel state and proprietary state. So another important kind of state is federal state. That means a federal state is union of several states which has the organ of its own and is invested with power not over the member state first but also over the citizens. So this is a federal state is basically we can say the state which is combination of different member states. The union is based normally through an international treaty of the member state and on subsequently accepted constitution of the federal state. It is not possible for the member state of federal state to be recognized an international person. That means if this is a concept of federal state, here this what happens? There are these states are combination of states and these I am talking about when I am talking about the state, it means on the basis of international law. Please don't confuse that state in the sense of what we say in our like union of states. So these states are combination of states, but these individual states can't participate in international treaties or international organizations. So federal state concept is that federal state is union of several states which has organ of its own and is invested with power to be part. For example, what is an example of this particular uh, this federal state? Can you give? So the concept which basically the federal state conveys is that it is not possible for the member state of the federal state to be recognized an international person for the reason that they are neither the full nor the half sovereign political entity. Therefore, these states are not states in the sense of international law. They do not possess independence, nor do they exercise exclusive territorial or personal supremacy. The exception of this is Switzerland, as member states have right to conclude treaties between themselves without the consent of the federal state, as well as the right to conclude treaties with the foreign state as regards matter of minor interest. That means the federal state is combination of many states, and these states have no individual right to be part of an international organization or international treaty. And one of the exceptions of this particular federal state is the state, basically the nation that is Switzerland. That Switzerland can participate in other international things, but these individual other states are unable to participate. So this is a concept related to the federal state. The federal state is union of several states which has the organ of its own and is invested with power over the member states. So one of the example of this is, can we give the European Union. European Union is also a combination of some states, and these states have power to to conclude. European Union basically represent as one in representing, I think, 27 countries. So this is an example related to that. Federal states are different from confederation. Confederated states are number of sovereign states linked together for the maintenance of their external and internal independence by recognized international treaty into union. So this is an example related to that the confederation and federal states. In federal state, what happens? Some which are states are basically participating. These are basically there are some sovereign entities missing in this particular state. But in confederation, the perfect example of confederation will be European Union. So the European Union is basically an example of confederation where different individual states, for example, Britain and other states, Germany, these all states are basically part of European Union. They have individual rights and duties also, and they are represented to maintain and combine pressure on international organizations. So this is a type of state related to, we can say, the concept of confederation. So confederation example we can give the example of European Union. For federal state, that particular concept right now, that particular concept is missing. There is not such this type of example, because before that there was that of type of example we can give, that when there was colonialism at that time, that type of concept we can give that of, for example, Britishers have colonized most of the part of the world. So the Britishers were at that time, or now that concept is also there, that is Commonwealth. All you know, there is Commonwealth game is also there. Why that is Commonwealth game is there? The Commonwealth game is there because that most states are sometime were in the past were colonized by that particular state. So that at that time colonial power were the superpower at that time. So these states, this is a perfect example of federal state. Right now there is no such as concept of federal state, because most of the states are now independent, and they have their own sovereignty, fixed territory, permanent population. They are fulfilling the four characteristics of Montevideo Convention. So now the federation of the states changes, federal state concept has changed, and a new concept has evolved, that is confederation. That is the example which I have given, that is confederation is European Union. These states are the whatever 27 or 26 states are a part of European Union. These states have individually, these states are sovereign in nature, but they have combined themselves together to represent themselves in international organization, so that they can easily, so we can say, put their problems or solution to international organization. So this is an example of federal state. Federal state at present, we will study different states with in the next few topics also, where these states are not in existence at present, but in the past this type of states were there. So the federal state concept you have understood. Federal
Yes,
state,
sir.
federal state at present you will not find any example of federal state, because the concept has evolved right now and most of the states are independent. So now the concept has changed into confederation. So confederation, that is one of the example which I have given. Confederation is European Union. Now another type of state which is present here, the next topic, that is Commonwealth, which I have discussed in the while defining federal state also, that Commonwealth state. Now what is Commonwealth state? These Commonwealth states are a type of, we can say, it is not, we can say as a concept, it is not also in super state, it is not also an combination of states, it is not also in federation of states, but it is quite different. It is like that these states are associated before getting sovereignty. These states are related to Britain. That means Britain has occupied most of the part of the world. So these states are basically colonized by Britishers, and after when they got independent, these states are called as Commonwealth states. Before 1946, it was called British Commonwealth. That means before 1946, in 1946, they have dropped the concept of British. Before that, 1946 till 1946, they have used British Commonwealth system. That means those states which were sometime in the past were governed by or colonized by British government are called Commonwealth states. It is not association of the state. It is not like any. But main criteria of this state is to sometimes a question also come into or some critic also say about that why there is need of this Commonwealth game. We have, I think, in 2010 we have the Commonwealth game here in India in Delhi. So they basically criticize that why we are still using the tag of Commonwealth, because the Commonwealth is if you look into inside the concept of Commonwealth, you will find that we are basically representing that somewhere in the past we are governed by the Britishers, or we are colonized by the we are colonized by the Britishers. So they sometimes criticize this particular concept also. So that this is an confederation, or we can say Commonwealth, or before 1946 British Commonwealth is also an example of a type of state. Many take this as a good thing, and many states which are now independent and are well developed. For example, if you take example, many people who understand international or who are very much critic of this nationalist type of thing, they don't want the tag of Commonwealth. They don't want this, that we don't want to be a part of Commonwealth. But Indian government has some benefit related to that, so they don't want to remove that tag. We are still a Commonwealth country. Some people say. So now the another type of state, that is associated state. Now, what is associated state? Associated states have large measure of autonomy in the internal affairs and possess the right to succeed in accordance with a specified procedure. That means if a state is associated state, that means this, which I have given the example of Sikkim. Sikkim was first procurator state. That means we will not interfere in their affairs. Now, after that, what happened? They become in 1973. They become associate state. That means we have more say in the internal affairs of that state, and there is a procedure to succession of that state to be a part of, to be added to the government governing state. So what happened? The Sikkim, that particular time they are procurator state. That means we can't interfere in their internal affairs. But in 1973 they become our associated state. So we are more involved in their internal affairs. We have started to decide, taking decisions of the particular state of Sikkim. And after a time, after 2 years, the ruler of the Sikkim has decided that we should be part of India. And in 1975 there was an amendment in the Indian Constitution, and after that Sikkim was added as a state in India. So associated state, if you compare associated state with now procurator state, you will find that the procurator state, you have less say in internal affairs of that particular state. But when you are talking about associated state, you have more say in the internal affairs of that state. So I think you have quite clear in these two things: associated state and procurator state. Ajay?
Yes, sir. But what about vassal state and associated state?
It is quite clear associated has more power, because associated have, if you compare the two things, associated state don't lose everything just like vassal state. So it, and another thing is that in vassal state there is no any such agreement. In Tibet and China there is no such any agreement, but in associated states there is an agreement. There is a type of limitation is there. In procurator state also there is a type of agreement is there, which I have given the example: friendship agreement, friendship treaty of 49 in 2007. So this is an example. But in vassal state there is no such thing. In vassal state, basically we can say the annexation of that particular state by force. Tibet is still, you know that many people of Tibet origin are residing in Dharamshala and the other states of India. You will find in your like they come for selling woolen materials in your during the time of winter they come. So they are with the Lhasa market. I think most of you have idea about Lhasa market. Lhasa is the capital of Tibet. I think most of you have idea if you are residing in like Allahabad and this type of region of, or Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. You will find in every district there is a Lhasa market during the time of December to March. So that is an example which this is not because they are fighting for their and you are also know Dalai Lama. Dalai Lama is basically run away from Tibet and he is basically taken shelter in Dharamsala. India has given shelter to and that is a point of dispute between India and China also. So vassal state is not that they by their own will they want to be a part of that particular governing state. Vassal state is basically a type of annexation by power. For example, tomorrow we will take over on Nepal and we will not give any right to Nepal. That Nepal will automatically become our vassal state. So I'm just giving example.
सर
Yes, Ajay.
सर ये प्रोटेक्टेड स्टेट और सर ये एसोसिएटेड स्टेट एक बार और बता दीजिए सर, डिफरेंस है इसका सर, इनका रिलेशन नहीं बन पा रहा है.
In procreate state, I will say in Hindi also, English also. In procreate state क्या होता है? First I will say in Hindi, after that in English. Procreate state क्या होता है? The say in internal affairs is less. आप इंटरनल अफेयर्स में कम बोल सकते हैं प्रोक्योर स्टेट में. आपका लिमिटेशन होता है कि आप इतना ही चीज कर सकते हैं या आप नहीं बोलेंगे, ना के बराबर पकड़ के चलिए कि नहीं कि आपका रहता है इंटरनल अफेयर्स में बोलने का, जो कि भूटान की स्थिति है. भूटान के इंटरनल मैटर्स में हम लोग नहीं बोल सकते हैं. उनका एक बोलेंगे भी तो उनके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है कि वो एक्सेप्ट करे या नहीं करे. ठीक है, मगर नॉट इन केस ऑफ एसोसिएटेड स्टेट. एसोसिएटेड स्टेट में क्या है, एग्रीमेंट तो है लेकिन हमारा स्टे क्या है, ज्यादा है. हम उसके इंटरनल अफेयर्स को भी डिसाइड कर सकते हैं. यही कारण है कि जब हम एसोसिएटेड स्टेट बनाते हैं किसी स्टेट को तो उसका फ्यूचर क्या रहता है कि वो बहुत फुल टाइम स्टेट भी बन जाता है फ्यूचर में. जो कि एग्जांपल मैंने सिक्किम का आपको दिया कि 73 में सिक्किम क्या हुआ, आपका एसोसिएटेड स्टेट बना एंड विद इन 2 इयर्स ऐसा क्या हुआ कि वो 75 में अपना हमारा परफेक्ट स्टेट बन गया, पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया बन गया, यूनियन ऑफ स्टेट के अंडर आ गया. रीजन इज दैट इन दैट पर्टिकुलर एग्रीमेंट इट इज रिटन बट नॉट इन केस ऑफ प्रोक्योरेट स्टेट. प्रोक्योरेट स्टेट के एग्रीमेंट में जो ट्रीटी साइन होती है दैट पर्टिकुलर ट्रीटी दे डोंट राइट दिस टाइप ऑफ थिंग. दे ओनली राइट वही चीज लिखते हैं कि जो कि इंटरनल अफेयर से रिलेटेड नहीं होता है. ठीक है, और एसोसिएटेड में क्या होता है, आपका स्टे ज्यादा होता है and there is a procedure to be part of, there is procedure written in that particular agreement that in future if you want you can by following this procedure you become part of that governing state also, जो कि प्रोक्योरिएट स्टेट में नहीं होता. ठीक है,
यस सर,
समझ में आ गया, सबको समझ में आ गया. आई थिंक वो सब you have understood about the concept of associated and procured state. So
Yes, sir.
So now we will move forward and we will move forward to trust territory. Now what is trust territory? Trust territory is basically a concept which evolved during World War I and World War II. And you have idea about, I think this is a general knowledge, there is a trusteeship council. It is an important organ of United Nations. So what was the role of that particular the role of that organ was that during that time what happened when World War I was going through and World War II was going through, there was many territories which become we are basically part of political institutions were not sufficiently developed so as to make them independent. At that time what happened when the war was going on, after the war there was situation where there many states have lost the war and the situation of that state was that they will have the independent democratic system was hard to establish. There was problem in their democratic system. There was so much of problem in their economic development. So this trusteeship council was created, and this trust basically states were created, and this power was given to them to that they will look after these states. There was this trust territory was created. So these trust territories are basically destroyed at the time of World War I and World War II, So they are not well developed. Democratic system was missing in that particular system. So these trust territories were given. These these territories were basically created on the basis that these territories will be trusted to constantly promote democratic system in this particular country. And after that, that particular system has evolved and the new democratic system is established. So after that, this particular concept was are basically reduced to, in number. Trusted or trust territories is basically a democratic system and that was missing. So these international organizations has taken that thing in their command and they have created a concept of trust territory. So this is an example of how the World War One and World War Two has impacted the development of this particular trust territory. So this is in relation to that how this particular so they have created a system where they can support the new states. The new states, how they can have this particular system. In a way, they can create new states and those states which have less democratic system because due to World War One and due to World War Two, there was so much of disturbance. So the democratic system was not well established. So they have created trust territories. I think I'm clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
So now you will not find this concept right now because we have evolved so much after World War II that right now we don't have the concept related to trust territory because most of the democratic system in most of the country is well established and due to that reason there is no need of that particular trust territory right now. But in future, if there is the situation is like that, what is going in Afghanistan and Syria and all the places, there can be a situation where UN have to take control of that state, and they will basically just like the role of the that president's rule, which we generally adopt in our constitution for governing a state. So that this is I am just comparing this two. So that if that particular democratic system is not well established, the trust territory will come into picture. So now we look into not typical state. That means not typical state. What is that type of typical state? Is that not typical state is that means it is not a state in real sense, and that even though there are some rights were given to this state. So one of the important example of not typical state is holy state. Now what is holy state? The term Holy State is used to refer to the supreme organ of the Catholic Church, that is Bishop of Rome, and commonly called the Pope. The Holy See possesses an international personality despite a very small state. It has a diplomatic relation with 166 nations, 69 of which have permanent diplomatic mission in Vatican. That means one of the example where state is there and that state is very small in nature, even though there is no type of government is there in Vatican City. Is there is any government? You know about Vatican City? Most of you, I think.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
वैटिकन सिटी के बारे में तो जानते हैं सर, बट ये नहीं पता लाइक गवर्नमेंट.
Vatican City is basically supported by Italy, and that particular support is that most of the there is no government is there because the Pope is head of this particular thing. He is the head of all the churches of this whole world. So he and due to that reason, even though that particular state is small in nature, it has we can say international relations and with more than 169 countries, and there are 69 uh, 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 embassies are there established. So even though that Vatican City is small in nature, it has an interaction. It is a holy city, we can say, and due to that reason, it has some recognition there. So that is also an important thing in relation to that is it is not an in proper sense you can't say that is a mistake, even though we given power to that in type of state and it have foreign relationship with most of the countries. So this is an example of how that is non-typical state. This is an example of non-typical state, holy state. That means the state has no important features related to that, government is missing, because it is one of the important feature of to be a state. You need permanent population, fixed territory, government, and sovereignty. Even though if this one government is not there, proper government is not established there, because it is governed by the Pope John, I think right now some another person is there, Pope Benedict, I think. So these has given a type of state also. So this we can have the holy state. That is the example of holy state. The another type of is example of non-typical state is neutralized state. Now, what is neutralized state? That is neutral in nature. These states don't interfere in anything related to that particular international thing. They don't interfere, they don't participate, but they neutralize, that means not participate in anything. In negative, they don't participate. They don't want to be part of any war. They don't want to discuss anything in relation to negative, but they want development. They participate in, but it is not like that they are neutralized in nature. That means they have no power to self-defense. These states have power to self-defense also. So non-neutralized states are states which, when the state declares that it will never take up arms against any other state except in the case of aggression. That means until and unless no state will basically have a war on that or aggression on that particular state, that state is neutralized in nature. That state will not participate in any war. Only on the only in the situation where there is a need of self-defense. That means that is a type of neutralized state. So this is also a type of, because they have declared itself that they will not participate in any war. So they are neutralized in nature, but they will only participate in war if the war is on them. That means if there is a war and that war is on them, so on that basis that state will take arms or for their self-defense. So this is a type of also it is, you will not find why this word is non-typical state concept was given, that because you will not find this type of concept. These are one or two examples of these states are in existence. The example is Switzerland and Austria. The neutralized state example is Switzerland and Australia. So this is an, we can say, an example of neutralized state. So I think you have cleared about this particular topic.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Just,
sir.
The last, just one thing is there. The another important non-typical state is free cities. Now, what is free cities? Free cities, that after World War I and II, what happened? There were dispute over some cities, that I will take over this city and you will take over this city. And for example, two countries are fighting for some one particular city. So now the problem is that they have to divide between this city. So what they have said, that we all both will take over the city, and this type of city will basically evolve and become and a free city. This is the concept of free city, non-typical state. So now example of, at past there was example of free cities. Vienna was a free city. Danzig is a place that is a free city. Beijing was also in free city. So now after the world democratic system has evolved in those states, they with the time these free cities has evolved and now they become part of some countries. So Austria capital is I think Vienna. So Beijing is the capital of China. So these are example of that how the free cities has evolved, just like the trust territory. So with the passage of time, democratic system established, some countries have, because the internal structure of that country was established again, and they have take over and they have rejected the governing power of those other countries, and they now become a free city. So this is a non-typical type of uh, state. So I think I am clear about all the type of state which I till now have given an idea of. You have any
Yes,
question
sir.
related to that? Anyone?
No, sir.
no,
Not
sir.
about only 3 or 4 people. It is about the whole class. I think I am quite happy. 46 students have joined the class. Most, I think, in my last 1 month lecture. So anybody want any inputs, more inputs regarding that? Okay, so we can end the class. And sorry for disturbance because there was an urgent call there, but after that the internet has went off. So due to that reason, there was a problem. And in the starting, there was some people have come inside, and there is a disturbance. I don't take classes because they will stay here and there, and I record classes. So that's why I have to stop talking at that time. So sorry for that. I will manage someday somewhere, for example, in some classes also. I will.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक
Okay.
यू सर सर
चलिए ठीक है, मिलते हैं. हाँ बोलिए ज्योति.
सर ये स्टेट्स वाले के आप नोट्स शेयर कर दीजिएगा कुछ सर पीपीटी हो या
मैं
पीडीएफ
सब मैं फ्राइडे सैटरडे को सारे नोट्स मिल जाएंगे आपको. ठीक है,
ओके सर
एंड ऑफ
थैंक यू
ओके सर.
एवरी वीक में नोट्स आपको दे दूंगा.
ओके सर.
थैंक यू.
थैंक यू सर.